Are you still out there sending good morning texts to someone who ignores you like you're just spam from a phone company? Still hitting her up with, "Hey stranger," even after 4 days of complete radio silence without so much as a lol? Wow. That's adorably tragic. Truly inspirational how good you are at being a doormat. And worse, you actually believe in that fairy tale that persistence conquers all? Buddy, there's only one thing your persistence will conquer. A place on her block list. Wake up. If this person doesn't show even the tiniest spark of interest, maybe, just maybe, she really doesn't give a crap how you feel. Tough pill to swallow? Then grab God's hand and come with me. This video is for you, the future president of the Nice Guys Delusional Anonymous. Sit down, breathe, and brace yourself, because I'm not about to give you some sweet-voiced self-help lecture. This is a reality punch. It stings, but it heals. Or at least leaves a scar that teaches you something. Let's get real. She doesn't respect you because you treat yourself like leftover takeout. Always available, always smiling, always there. 24/7 emotional waiter, serving attention and affection to someone who never asked for it and still makes a sour face about it. She doesn't miss you because guess what? You never disappear. You've turned into that piece of furniture everyone forgets is even there. The predictable, clingy, dramatic dude writing essay-length messages to salvage a relationship she's busy burying alive. But there exists a rare species of man. A guy who, when he's gone, actually leaves a void. He doesn't beg for love, doesn't grovel, doesn't survive off emotional scraps. That man, he observes, he analyzes, he figures out the game. And once he realizes they're trying to clown him, he doesn't cause a scene. He doesn't drop vague hints on social media. He doesn't write some open letter. He just stands up and walks away, silently. And it's in that silence that her little game crashes and burns. Because, my friend, that's when she realizes she lost the only man who actually knew his own worth. Today, you'll understand why a stoic man is the worst nightmare for any woman who loves pulling those emotional puppet strings. More importantly, you'll learn how to become that man. But first, let's bury the saddest character in our soap opera, the clingy affection beggar. The guy who pleads, who crawls, who turns good morning into a cringe parade. Oh, and before we move on, do the basics, like this slap in the face. I mean, this video, subscribe, and comment "I'm Stoic" down below. It's not for me, it's for the algorithm. Because if even YouTube doesn't believe in you, I'm not sure I can help you either. No more whining. Let's get straight to it. Number 1, the emotional beggar, also known as the Persian rug with a social security number. We all know this mystical creature. Maybe you know him a bit too well. Like, you see him in the mirror every morning, swearing, "Today I won't text first," and 10 minutes later you're sending "good morning" with a heart emoji. Pathetic. The emotional beggar is that guy who lives under the illusion that love is some sort of loyalty prize. He thinks if he just keeps pushing like an annoying internet plan salesman one day, she'll fall in love. Newsflash. She's already figured you out. She stored you away in the same drawer as old chargers. She knows you're there, but she ain't planning to use you. He replies instantly, even when she takes 2 days to respond, like she had a mini-stroke in between. He accepts crumbs and thanks her like he got a red carpet candlelit dinner. His life motto? Hope. She'll change. This is just a phase. She'll realize I'm different. Yeah, different. Different from a man who actually respects himself, for instance. The brutal, unfiltered truth? She's already noticed. She already knows exactly who you are. That's why she treats you like an emotional extra in the soap opera she's starring in solo. The emotional beggar thinks if he's sweet, understanding, always around, she'll finally appreciate him. Like love is some humiliating marathon, and the prize is, I guess I like you too. As a friend. Congrats, champ. You've earned yourself a comfy place in her comfort zone. Meanwhile, you're there serving as listener, therapist, free Uber, and unofficial psychologist while she's living her life. She disappears, comes back, disappears again. And you, always ready to forgive. Because she's special, right? Yeah, real special at making a fool out of you. And the saddest part? You still blame yourself. You think the problem is you. If she doesn't choose you, it must mean you weren't enough. Nope, buddy. You're not missing looks, status, or some extra emotional text spiced up with heart emojis. You're missing the bare minimum, respect. And guess what? Respect isn't begged for. It's imposed. The beggar is constantly hunting for validation like a puppy chasing its owner's attention. And the more you throw yourself at her feet, the more she stomps on you. Because women can sense it. They know the exact moment you'd settle for being her backup plan just to stay close. That's precisely when she stops valuing you. Now that you know who the clown in this relationship is, spoiler, it's you. It's time to level up. The next stage is where she starts testing your weakness, like stretching an old rubber band to see when it'll snap. And guess what? You're about to break. If you keep this up. Number 2, why she tests you. When she smells your weakness. Spoiler, she's not confused. She's not having some existential crisis, not off on a spiritual retreat, not healing old wounds. The only thing she's doing is testing you like stepping on the brakes of a beat-up car, just to see how far she can go before it flips over. And no, this isn't some paranoid rant from a jaded dude. It's biology meets a telenovela script. Mix a little bit of instinct with the modern dash of emotional cruelty, and boom, the mind games begin. When she senses you're emotionally clinging to her like a tick on a dog, she flips on laboratory mode. She turns you into a test rat. How does she test? She'll vanish for 24 hours just to see if you'll melt in her inbox. She'll post a picture with another guy, waiting for you to freak out in the comments. She'll say, "I need space," just to see if you'll beg like she's your oxygen supply. She doesn't want love, buddy. She wants power. She wants to know if she's got you in the palm of her hand. If you'll wag your tail whenever she snaps her fingers. If you'll roll over and accept anything just to keep pretending you're still in the game. The problem, you surrender your soul in the first round. You reply too fast. You explain too much. You justify everything. You basically do her dirty work for her. You get yourself convicted in your own personal courtroom. Want a cruel spoiler? A man of real worth doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need to convince or grovel. A woman only tests the man who seems willing to take it. And she stops testing when she meets a guy who doesn't buckle under emotional blackmail. That man, he's stoic. The stoic doesn't join the game. He looks at the board, sees the pieces, and just laughs. When he notices the funds turned manipulative, he doesn't blow up, doesn't write an essay, doesn't throw a tantrum. He just pushes back from the table, changes his posture, cool, calm, deadly. That's why women fear this type of man. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't beg. He doesn't let himself be strung along, because he knows genuine value doesn't need constant reminders. Now listen up, buddy. Tired of being her emotional beanbag chair, the clown of the hour, the poor sap who's thankful for any crumb of attention? Then do something useful with that ache in your chest. Check the description for a digital book. And no, it's not some mushy self-help. It's a slap in reading form. It'll teach you how to flip the script, stop being the 24/7 doormat, and above all, realize respect begins the moment you stop selling yourself short. Wake up, champ, or keep starring in this tragic little puppet show as the extra in your own sad story. The choice, as always, is yours. Finally, we reach our moment of spiritual enlightenment. Number 3, what it means to be stoic in modern relationships. Or, as I like to call it, how to stop being the weepy clown and become the guy who won't bow down, not even to the almighty Tinder. Let's break it down. The Stoic, contrary to what dramatic souls out there might think, isn't some heartless sociopath. He feels, sure. He cares, sure. He has a heart. He just doesn't hand it over to people who treat love like a cheap toy. While the beggar lives off soap opera-style emotional outbursts, the Stoic man is the one who takes a deep breath, weighs the situation, and thinks, does any of this drama even deserve my time, or is it just my own loneliness pretending to be interest? Spoiler, usually it's just loneliness. Being Stoic doesn't mean you turn into an emotionless statue. It means you're the guy who chooses with surgical precision where, when, and with whom you invest your emotional energy. Because let's face it, emotional energy isn't some unlimited phone plan. Once it's gone, it's gone. In today's emotional marketplace, that guy is practically an urban legend. Because he's not the all-day, my sweet angel type, he doesn't live for heart emojis, and he's definitely not going to be anyone's emotional cushion or plan B. While society expects men to be never-ending providers of affection-free therapists, shoulders always ready for someone else's tears. The Stoic says, need a hug, therapy's over there. And why does he do this? Because he's not afraid to lose. He's learned that presence without respect is just emotional suicide. Keeping a relationship alive through humiliation is like watering a plastic plant. It might look pretty, but it's completely fake. The Stoic doesn't argue, doesn't demand, doesn't send late-night essays of heartbreak. If she starts drifting away, he doesn't chase. He just draws a logical conclusion. She made her choice. Then what? He moves on. Steady. Impeccable. Lethal. No revenge, no passive-aggressive stories. He doesn't need to prove a thing. He's not trying to look good. He actually is good. A huge difference. And pretty rare these days. He's discovered a truth the world refuses to face. If someone cares, they show it. If they don't, well, they don't. That's it. He answers silence with silence, a silence far louder than any whiny heartbreak meltdown. He's not inaccessible, he's just not a chump. And that, my friend, that drives them crazy. They're used to a parade of desperate guys begging for any crumb. Then here he comes, the man who doesn't beg, doesn't twist himself into knots, doesn't dance to the tune of her games. This guy, she underestimates him at first, and fears losing him in the end. And when he leaves, he doesn't bring drama, yelling, or tears. He brings class, and a little side smile that says, good luck finding another one like me. Now get ready, because the next part is the finishing move. Ah, here we are, the grand finale, the emotional fatality, the final smile, the blow she didn't expect. Brace yourself, because there are no flowers here, just ashes. She expected everything, except this. She was ready for the show, the tears, the 3-page essay on WhatsApp, the tell me what I did wrong, the why are you acting this way. She wanted a stage, an audience. She wanted drama. And what did you give her? A smile. But not just any smile. A subtle, almost amused one. The kind of smile that says, without a word, I see exactly what's going on, and guess what? I'm already over it before you even realized you lost me. And that's the exact millisecond the entire game flips with a vengeance. Because that smile, it's a missile. More devastating than any public meltdown. More painful than any lecture, because it tears up the entire script she wrote in her head. In her little play, you were supposed to freak out, chase her like a lost puppy, beg for explanations, excuses, some token affection, beg for a plot twist that was never coming. But what did you do? You just smiled and vanished. The final smile isn't arrogance. It's not fake bravado. It's pure liberation. You finally realized you don't need someone who never tried to understand you. You're not carrying away heartbreak, no bitterness, no unhealthy attachment. You're walking off with a lesson learned. And now, the woman who thrived on stirring chaos and feeding drama is left with emptiness. A void she created herself, hoping you'd be dumb enough to fill it with your dignity. But you didn't fill it. You answered with silence. And that silence? Oh, it's the real punishment. The most elegant and brutal out there. It comes without resentment, no ranting, no awkward tension. It comes with peace, calm, and that look of someone who holds no grudge, because he simply doesn't care anymore. She expected war. You gave her peace, and that peace is destroying her from the inside. Because when a man leaves without causing a stir, he becomes unforgettable. She starts thinking, replaying everything, feeling the absence. But not just any absence, the kind with no chance of a comeback. And that's when the script flips. She, who was once the center of attention, is now caught orbiting around something that no longer revolves around her. She starts popping back in, sending, "Hey, long time no see," liking your stories, trying to start random chats. But now it's too late, because the Stoic man, he doesn't return. He's gone, and he left smiling. Now we get to the part where the spell backfires on the spellcaster. Number 5, the reverse game. When you disappear, she shows up. Buckle up, because now it's time for a little Zen-style emotional vengeance. It's always the same story, right? As long as you're there, all eager, all, "Morning, did you get home okay?" Like her personal emotional assistant, she barely notices you. One word replies, that dry, "ha-ha," that hurts worse than a slap. And when she decides to ghost you, you're still making excuses like, maybe she's just busy. Aw, so naive. Like a puppy learning about heartbreak. But then, one day, something magical happens. You stop texting. Stop asking how she's doing. Stop being that emotional puppy wagging its tail for any scrap of fake affection. And then, out of nowhere, she appears. "Hey, stranger. You doing okay? I dreamed about you." Or the classic, liking a photo from 2018. The digital smoke signal that says, "Do I still have control?" Why does this happen? Because people are lazy. They only value what they can no longer have. And up until now, she treated you like an emotional knick-knack on her shelf. Kinda there, kinda boring, but always at her disposal. But when you vanish, she feels it. The silence grows loud. The absence forms a hole in her ego. You become scarce. And scarcity, my friend, is gold in these times of emotional poverty. She starts remembering, wow, he was so attentive, so caring. He made me his priority. Yeah, honey, past tense. Now you're not the nice guy waiting 3 days for a response. You're the unavailable man. And what's unavailable becomes the real prize. Not because you changed who you are, but because you left the little fenced enclosure where she kept you trapped. But heads up, this only works if you truly vanish. For real, no second guessing. Heart and mind moved on. Because if you ghost just to see if she'll come running, and she does, and then you come crawling back like a lost puppy, congrats, you're back to square one. She'll repeat the cycle, and once again, you'll be her go-to emotional toy. A Stoic doesn't disappear to play mind games. He disappears because he realizes there's nothing left for him there. And when she eventually pops back in, he's no longer interested because he found himself in the silence. He learned that his real value doesn't hinge on anyone's, "Hey, stranger. Now that you know the power of leaving with dignity, it's time for the next level." The 5 Stoic rules that'll turn you from the guy who chases to the guy she chases and probably can't catch. Let's go. Buddy. Now we get into the part that separates men from emotional boys. Number 6. The 5 rules of emotional stoicism, or as I like to call it, the instruction manual for never again being the romantic clown in someone else's drama. Because honestly, disappearing for a day or two only to slink back, tail between your legs, begging for attention, is not stoic. That's theater. Stoicism is a permanent shift in your mindset. So lock these 5 rules in your brain. Tattoo them on your forehead if you have to. Rule 1. Never respond in the heat of emotion. Are you pissed? Sad? About to send her an epic essay with a heartbreak soundtrack, all while trying to act tough? Chill, champ. Wait, acting on impulse is like jumping in front of a bus hoping she'll come rescue you. Spoiler, she won't. She'll watch from the sidewalk and maybe screenshot your meltdown. The Stoic doesn't act out of desperation. He observes, he processes, and he only answers, if he even bothers, when he's no longer emotionally invested. Because once you don't care, that's when you speak with real class. Before that, you're just handing her ammo. Rule 2. Always mirror the level of interest. She takes 2 days to respond. Awesome. You take 2 days too. She's cold. You grab a coat. She vanishes. You disappear. No drama, no silly games, just emotional balance. This isn't petty revenge or childish pettiness. It's you making it clear you won't compensate for someone else's indifference with your own excessive effort. You're not an emotional service provider. Rule 3. Prioritize your peace, not her ego. You don't have a cosmic duty to prove you're different, sweet, mature, an endless fountain of love. Enough of that. If staying around means walking on eggshells, feeling like a burden or a backup plan, or being an emotional prop on her shelf, then goodbye. Go live your life. Read a book. Have coffee without constantly checking your phone like an addict chasing notifications. The Stoic always chooses peace. Every time. Someone else's fragile ego isn't worth your self-respect. Rule 4. Learn to leave without fanfare. You don't need to announce your departure like you're quitting a job. No open letters, no dramatic lines like, "One day you'll miss me." That's cringe. Leave quietly. Leave with class. Leave knowing the real damage isn't your presence. It's your absence. Well applied. Whoever needs to shout they're leaving basically wants someone to beg them to stay. The Stoic doesn't do that. Rule 5. Be remembered for your absence, not your insistence. A weak man wants to be remembered for all he did. The voice messages, the love letters, the flowers, the invites, the good morning, princess. The Stoic? He's remembered because when he disappeared, no one else could fill the space he used to occupy. He's remembered for the silence that weighs heavier than any clownish meltdown, for the lack that reverberates, not because he threw a tantrum, but because he genuinely mattered. One last reality check. The Stoic also loses, okay? He can be rejected too. The difference? He loses with dignity. He knows how to leave without destroying himself, without crawling or begging for closure. And that's what we'll tackle next. How to lose like a man who respects himself, walking off the stage as the only one who truly left a mark. Number 7. The Stoic doesn't win every time, but he always keeps his dignity. Also known as the part where a guy stops humiliating himself for a scene at 2:37 p.m. Let's set this straight. Being Stoic doesn't mean you'll win every prize. It doesn't guarantee a fairy tale ending, or tears of regret, or a massive text from her about how you were everything to her. Sometimes she just moves on, disappears, never speaks again. And guess what? That's okay, because the Stoic man isn't playing to win her. He's playing so he doesn't lose himself. The difference between him and the clingy doormat is night and day. A Stoic man, when he sees he's not a priority, won't settle for being an on-call backup. He won't get into a showdown, won't beg for space, won't run a campaign for attention. He walks away, cool, calm, no scene. And that, my friend, is real strength. A weak man loses and then flops around on WhatsApp, weeping. A Stoic loses, but walks off like he knows the game was rigged from the start. Head high, soul clear, self-esteem intact. Because losing someone who never valued you isn't a failure, it's a blessing. And here's the best part. The Stoic doesn't make it a public spectacle. He doesn't rant on X, formerly Twitter. Doesn't post whiny, passive-aggressive stories. Doesn't send, "I just wish you'd been honest." He just disappears, and the world notices, because his silence is deafening. His dignity roars. Not because he won, but because he knew how to lose without destroying himself. And that's the difference. That's the impact. Even if she never comes back, she'll never forget. Because almost no one walks away like he does. Quiet but whole. So here's the bottom line. Are you the kind of man she respects? Or the emotional clown she puppets around with a few measly emojis? Think about it. Because we're heading to the final stretch. And only the man who learns to put self-worth above desperation is coming along. And to wrap it up with a final no-mercy slap in the face. Look in the mirror, buddy. Without filters, without sad background music, and especially without that pitiful, but I love too much vibe. You've spent your life trying to please, trying to prove you're different. Different? You ended up being a synonym for submissive. A nice guy who confused being loving with letting people walk all over you. Thoughtful? Nah. You were decorative, a fancy vase she only noticed when she needed to dump her emotional trash. Let's be blunt. If you have to beg to be seen, bargain for scraps to be remembered, bend over backwards for a drop of validation, you lost ages ago. A woman who respects you doesn't need to test you like a psych experiment. She doesn't toy around with her own affection. She shows up. She responds. She doesn't treat you like a backup plan, waiting for plan A to fail. And when that doesn't happen, you have two choices. Stick around and keep playing the fool, or stand up and walk away with whatever dignity you've got left. But how do you walk away? With a smile, not a forced grin pretending you're okay. But a calm, genuine smile from someone who sees the bigger picture and decides to exit the circus. No drama, no revenge, no marathon text. Just silence, just class. Just the stoic man doing what he does best. Vanishing with elegance and leaving behind the very longing that replaces her former disdain. And in that moment, in that simple act of leaving without begging for answers, you become everything she never imagined she'd lose. A man who respects himself. Maybe she'll never return. Maybe she'll come back too late. Who cares? Because now you finally understand. You don't need to be remembered for chasing her. You need to be respected for knowing when to stop. And that shift is what separates emotional losers from men who leave a lasting impression. So tell me, have you played the clown today? Drop a comment. Which part of this video did you see yourself in? Still the clown? Or are you already stepping onto the stoic path, refusing to humiliate yourself for anyone even free Wi-Fi? If this video slapped you into reality, do the minimum. Like it, subscribe, and send it to that buddy who still starts his day with "Good morning, princess," only to get left on read like an antivirus notification. This isn't self-help. It's raw truth. It hurts, but it saves you. And remember, a stoic man's silence teaches more than 1,000 sob stories from a rejected nice guy. See you in the next video. Or not, if you're still on Team Hopeless Romantic. Good luck, you'll need it.